Welcome back, everyone. So excited to be here on 14 Minutes of Fame with Misty Henkel. Today I have the wonderful Lana Burgess from Exceptional Tradie Solutions. I'll just put my crown on. I know I interviewed my Noah earlier, and actually I didn't wear the crown. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't wear the crown. We didn't do it in 14 minutes either, Lana. So just for those who don't know Lana is from Exceptional Tradie Solutions. For you over in America, a tradie is the term we Australians use when we're talking about someone in the trades and construction industry. So we're looking at electricians, builders, plumbers, painters, landscapers, cleaners, that sort of thing. So it's a tradesman in the construction industry. So Lana, you're down in Melbourne area of Australia.
Yep, southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. That's correct.
Excellent. And you do admin for tradies. So you do all their admin. You answer their phones. What's involved in the admin? What sort of sections are there?
So we answer their phones, book in their jobs, manage their invoicing and quoting, look after their teams and make sure they're all in the right place, follow up with customers and making sure that they get as much bookings and increasing their billable hours so they make more money in their business and go home to their families instead of all the stuff that we do for them throughout the day.
Nice. Excellent. So yes, definitely make sure that their invoices go out and that the payments come in, hey?
So and everything gets booked in and they don't miss any opportunities in their business.
Yeah. So it's something I've come to understand, not just Australian tradies, but all over the world. I was reading a book a while ago. Let me see if I can find it on my shelf. It's called The Rosie Project, right? That's what the book set is from. So the first book is called The Rosie Project. But in the second one, so this guy here, Dan, he's Don, he's got Asperger's. And we assume, and he wants to get a wife, but he's a bit like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, right? And so he sends out this like 16-page questionnaire on, he figured that the reason he hasn't had a good date with women, like one that leads to a second date, is because ultimately he's going out to dinner with the wrong women. But if they just fill out the questionnaire and he can see if they're compatible, then they'll know if they'll more chance of getting that second date. Anyhow, along the way, he finds the girl that he wants. Well, he finds the right girl and they get married. And then they end up in America and he becomes best friends with a lad over there who is a refrigeration mechanic. And so his best mate, who's this refrigeration mechanic, he's terrible at admin. So really good at the refrigeration stuff. And he thinks like his wife is a bookkeeper and he doesn't want her to know that he's not very good at the admin. And he thinks he's about $30,000 behind, with invoicing out things, but that he's just terrible at his job because he's not earning any money. And Don ends up going about trying to help him out, but without saying to the wife that, her husband is not very good at the admin because he doesn't want to sort of break the confidence. But when he starts delving into it and he asks some bookkeeping questions, they discover he's like $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 behind in invoicing, like so much behind, and that he's so good as a mechanic, as a refrigeration mechanic, that when they start putting these invoices together and then sending them out to clients who some of them haven't even been billed for up to 2 years, the clients paid immediately with a note that said, "Oh my God, thank you for sending me this invoice. I've been dying to pay him for years because he did such an amazing job."
You wouldn't, but you'd be surprised how many times I hear that.
Now, here's the interesting part. So here's my question, right? Is why? Why are those in the trade and construction industry, why are they notoriously bad? Like it seems like the world over. Why are they so bad at doing their own admin?
Because they weren't designed to do it. They were designed to do the work that they trained and they're good at doing, which is their trade. They're not, that at TAFE, they don't teach you business skills. They don't teach you how to, do your numbers or your books. They teach you how to do your trade. So
that makes so much sense. So an electrician is an electrician, but not an admin assistant. So they don't.
And men in particular, so I'm not trying to be sexist here, but men aren't designed to be organized human beings either. So, yeah, I just
No, they remember a lot of stuff, but they don't tend to write it down. Actually,
no, they don't write it down. That's the problem. They have
I
it all in their
worked,
head,
yeah, I worked in a
and
mechanic.
they struggle to get it out of their head.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, getting it down, and I still work with tradies to this day, that still have things in their head, or they have pieces of paper, or they don't use systems, and they wonder why they can't remember where things are, at, why they're so behind on everything, they don't track anything. Um,
Yeah,
and
okay. So
it's
Lana, I worked in a mechanics for 6 months where basically I brought in the cars to get serviced, and then the mechanic would go to the mechanic. The mechanic would do a quick 21-point check over it to see if anything else needed doing, besides the oil. They'll check the tires and the brakes and the windscreen wipers and anything else, right? And then they'd come back with a list of problems. And then I'd have to call to say, did you want any of these other things done? This costs this costs this costs this, because these things will need to be updated on your car. Some things sooner rather than later, right? So someone dropped in a car for $200, they could be picking it up for 2,000 because basically general neglect and putting off looking after it. But I have to say the hardest part of the job was doing the doctor's reports after the mechanic had finished, because there's so much that you have to document. Like there's so many pieces that you have to document, and each thing comes at a price, and to sort it out, it would take forever. That actually makes sense. And they don't do their own admin. So you know what that reminds me of, Lana? Doctors. Doctors don't do admin. They go to doctor schools. So they go to uni to become doctors. Then they go into the hospital to learn the doctoring stuff.
Yep.
Never do they answer the phone and book in a patient to come into the clinic.
No, they have people do that for them.
That's right. And they just deal with the person who comes into the clinic, and then they get the paperwork and they have to hand that off.
And then they hand it back to the admin person, and they do the
they
back
write
end
stuff
support.
down.
Yep.
They might have to read over it and sign it, but there's a lot of, or once they've signed it, it then goes to the admin who then puts that back into the computer, so it's all on file there. No wonder, and it makes sense, right? Because a builder or a plumber or an electrician or a cleaner or a landscaper, I mean, they're doctors of that thing that's broken. They're doctors of building sites. They're doctors of houses. They're doctors of the front yard. That makes sense. See, most people, I believe, think that we need to know what the admin for a tradie does. Like someone like you, like what are the admin things? I'll pass that on to my brother-in-law who's a tradesman, and then he can see if he needs help. But actually, we don't need to know what it is that you do. Go notice I asked that at the beginning. So tell me what things you do. I answer the phone, I send out the receipts, I collect the cash. But actually, I don't need to know that. I only need to know, why are they bad at it? And then suddenly, I only have to think, do I know anyone in trades construction? Actually, and just ask them, did you ever learn how to do admin at school? And when the answer is no, how are you doing it now? And that is
because they've usually taught it to themselves, and they're not the best teachers either.
Well, if we think about that answer, Lana, I mean, if they were to answer that, if I was to ask, how are you doing your admin now? In your experience, what's the answer? They're just not, are they?
No, they're not. Or they're doing it very badly.
Yeah. No wonder they are stressed out of their mind.
Or they're going home at the end of the day, neglecting their family and trying to get it done. And then it bleeds into the next day, and then the next day, and then and they wonder what's happened to their life, and why they started the business in the first place, which was to get more time freedom to their family.
Yeah.
And
now you have an interesting history story as to how you ended up being an admin specifically for tradies and not for everybody else. What's your history story? How did this happen, Lana?
Well, I'm the daughter of a builder, niece of a plumber. My stepdad's also a builder. My mum loves builders, apparently. Everyone laughs when I say that. I was waiting for it. And I found the common denominator is my dad was never present. He was either on site or in the office. And he'd spend like 5 minutes at the dinner table, and then we'd never see him. Honestly, he was very rarely around when I was younger, and I no doubt that led to the divorce of my parents when I was quite young.
Yeah, right.
And then my mum just decided not to learn from that lesson and do the same thing. And my stepdad was a very bad man. I'm not going to go into why.
Oh,
but,
no, but I mean, but as that stressed out of his mind, right? Then he just, I mean, instead of just being not present, he was present in a
way that no one
way,
wants.
right? So then that just moves him
which
up
led
going,
to
oh, that's no good.
me,
Leaving home.
led to me leaving home, and not because I wanted to, because I had to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then, of course, I suppose, yeah, it makes sense as to why we pick you as the admin for tradies, because what's your ultimate goal?
Is to save relationships and families for trades businesses, because I've been there, done that, and it's my way of, it's kind of like my therapy in a way, because it really helps me know that no one else has to go through some of the trials and tribulations I've had over the last 20 years. So, and yeah, families stay together, and I do get told from time to time that I've saved some marriages. So
nice.
And also, yeah, I just kind of fell in, like, I didn't plan to go into this when I started. Like, I fell in, like, when I moved from Hobart to Melbourne nearly 11 years ago. Can you believe that? Nearly 11 years ago. November the 9th, 2013 is when I moved here. And I'm still here. My dad's
audience, she's older
shocked.
than she looks. Just
Yes.
putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and my dad's still to this day saying, "When are you coming home?" I'm like, never, Dad, never, Dad. On the very rare occasion we speak, which is probably about once a year. Anyway, I'm forgetting my point. There was a point to this story. I've just
it's
yeah,
nice.
when I moved to Melbourne 11 years ago, I ended up being an admin manager for an electrical company, and that's kind of where it started. And then basically, yeah, I spent probably 7 to 8 years in that role, and then COVID happened.
Yep.
And then I ended up having this light bulb moment where I can act, and I started thinking, in COVID, when you have so many thought times, reflection time, I should call it, about your whole life. Your whole life goes back, and you start thinking about things, and then I was like, I could turn this into a business where I support trades businesses and their families stay together and have a work-life balance and help them with all the day-to-day admin. So that's kind of where it went.
Most people tend to jump their past stuff so that they don't go anywhere near it again. But honestly, it's the past
I've
stuff.
done the opposite.
But it's the past stuff. But those who become successful end up realizing they have to look into their past to go, actually, that's what I already know. So all I have to do is teach it moving forward, as opposed to, or do something with what I already know moving forward, rather than get a brand new set of skills for everything else. Well, Lana, we're nearly out of time. I really loved interviewing you today. It was great having you out chatting to us all. And thank you so much for talking to us. So mostly you help the trades and admin here in Australia. Ever tried helping them overseas, or haven't?
I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I would love to.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't need to sleep, right? I mean, as long as you're awake 24/7, you'll be able to answer their phone, right?
Yeah, or I could just get a team member in that location.
Oh, that would work too. Well, Lana, it was wonderful to talk to you today. Thanks very much for coming out.
Thank you very much, Misty.
See ya.